again, everybody. Welcome into another edition of Inside Cowboy Basketball. I'm Ron Hayes, your host here with head coach Dave Simmons. Coach, we're back here in Burton Coliseum. It's kind of cool. I don't see any cowboys or cowgirls. I guess everybody got out alive okay, but you're the only cowboy I see in here today.
You're right. I mean, I'm glad to be back in here. You know, the venue has changed.
Hi again, everybody.
Back to
Welcome into another edition of Inside Cowboy Basketball. I'm Ron Hayes, your host here with head coach Dave Simmons.
And I think the guys
Coach, we're back here in
Burton
Burton Coliseum. It's kind of cool.
No Mardi Gras
I don't
distractions,
see any
all the big Mardi Gras
cowboys or
parades and all that
cowgirls.
kind of
I guess
stuff
everybody
this
got
week.
out
Your
alive
guys,
okay, but
you kind of keep them away
you're the
from all
only
that
cowboy I
stuff.
see in here today.
You're right. I mean, well, you know, our plans are, you know, being in Lake Charles with Mardi Gras, you got to let them enjoy the community. I think the embrace of community. I think that's what a lot of kids, when they come here, they find
no Mardi
out,
Gras
man,
distractions, you know, all the big Mardi Gras parades and all that kind of stuff this week. Your guys
enjoy, meet
kind of
people
keep
in the
away from
community.
all
I
that
think
stuff.
some of the parades are getting ready to start up. We'll get them on a schedule. We'll work practice around those parades if kids want to attend.
So next show you're going to have bead zone and all that kind of stuff?
We may have, especially if we get that next upcoming victory. I'll celebrate that.
There you go. Well, fans, we're going to talk about the Cowboys' recent road trip that they just completed. So you're back in town this week, Coach. And how's it feel to have about a 6-day? So next show you're going to have bead zone and all that kind of stuff.
And the Lamar Cardinals
we may have. Well, anytime you as a coach, if you come off, we end up coming off a 1-1 on the road.
There you go. Well, fans, we're going to talk about the Cowboys' recent road trip that they just completed. So you're back in town this week, Coach. How's it feel to have about a 6-day
injured a little bit? You know, just have some little bumps and bruises, a little chance to get some treatment. We don't have to just the wear and tear on their bodies is starting to show effect this late in the season. So they get some rest, get some good treatment, and you know, we can kind of, instead of having 1 day turnaround, you have 5-6 days turnaround for your next opponent. So that's always a luxury for its preparation.
It's a cliche, Coach, but there's nothing like being home, being in bed at home at your place, eating food that you like, that sort of thing.
You know, when you're happy, I always say that the most successful is when you're happy. I think kids love to play here at Burton in front of their home crowd anytime. So I think that's probably going to give us this kind of
it's a cliche, Coach, but there's nothing like
a message or not a message, but it's
at your place,
kind of a solution to some of our problems here. We just got to get back home, work hard. We're in our own facility. We feel comfortable.
Recharge that battery.
Recharge the battery, and get a little more consistency. And it's kind of like been living out the suitcase for the last month.
All right, fans, stay with us. We'll be talking about the 2 games on the road, more upcoming right after this.
Problems here. We just got to get back home, work hard in our own facility, feel comfortable.
Recharge that battery.
Recharge the battery, and get a little more consistency. And it's kind of like been living out the suitcase for the last.
Had enough of that. All right, fans, stay with us. We'll be talking about the 2 games on the road, more upcoming. As our student athletes guest of the week, Craig McFerrin, a sophomore post player. Craig is part of the McNeese Cowboy team for the 2nd year in a row. And Craig, you graduated out of Warren, Ohio?
Warren, Ohio, yes, sir.
What is Warren, Ohio famous for? Welcome back into more of Inside Cowboy Basketball.
Pretty much
we
basketball.
have as our
they
student
love
athlete guest of the week,
Yes,
Craig
sir.
McFerrin, a sophomore post
other
player.
famous players to
Craig
get out
is
of Warren, Ohio,
part of the McNeese Cowboy team for
they
the
have a lot
2nd
of
year in a
football
row.
stars.
Craig,
I know that.
You
I
graduated
don't know
out
pretty
of
much any
Warren,
professional
Ohio?
basketball players.
What is Warren, Ohio
no, sir.
famous
I'm
for?
originally from Michigan, but we moved to Louisiana
Ohio?
during Katrina. My dad's work, yes, sir.
Okay. Really?
So everybody was moving away. We were moving
other
here.
famous players to get out of Warren, Ohio, or gone on to basketball business?
Yes, sir.
In the construction business.
No, he works for FEMA.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Great.
Are you from there?
No, sir.
How old were you when you left Michigan to move to Ohio?
I was 17,
Really?
18, my senior year. It was only a 1 year.
So you left
you
after
came
your
down
junior
to
year
the
of high school,
destruction
you
rather
moved to
than
Warren?
leaving it
Yes,
for a
sir.
while. Your
Was
dad
that
was
tough
in the
to leave your
construction
friends
business.
and
is that
buddies
it?
and partners?
Oh, yeah, it was pretty
okay.
tough.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
indeed.
How'd you get over that?
Great.
You just
Okay.
buckled up, hit
How
the
old
floor
were you
and
when you
dribbled
left
the ball and
Michigan
Yes,
and moved
sir.
to
didn't
Ohio?
look back, huh?
Didn't look back. Well, I'm back here now.
Okay.
So,
my senior year.
All right. Didn't leave a girlfriend or any of that kind of thing?
So you
up
left after your
no, I
junior
had
year
my
of high school,
girlfriend
you
here,
moved to
so
Warren?
that's why.
Was
That's
that
very
tough to leave your
convenient.
friends and buddies and
Yes, sir.
You
partners?
stayed here.
Oh,
Most,
yeah, it was
most
pretty
people stay here for
Yeah.
cooking
How'd
and
you
all
get over
that
that?
kind
You
of
just
I love the cooking.
buckled
I
up
think I
and
put on a few
hit the
pounds
floor
since I
and
lived
dribbled the
here.
ball
for
and
you.
Yes, sir.
didn't look back.
Sophomore year, what's the big
Well, I'm
difference
back
between
here
your
now.
freshman year
Okay.
here at McNeese
All right. playing
Didn't
basketball.
Didn't leave a girlfriend or any of that kind of thing up north?
No,
I had my girlfriend here, so.
I think
that's very convenient.
Well, coaching staff wanted me to step up a lot more this year than last year. You know, we had a lot of seniors last year. You know, Rudy, so he was in the 5 spot. So now,
for you, man.
A young
your sophomore year, what's the big
his
difference between
spot
your
and try to step up
freshman
and be a
year
leader?
at McNeese playing basketball?
Let's talk a little bit about last year.
Last
Last year you showed a lot of promise early in the season for the Cowboys. Then you had an injury that knocked you out. How tough was that to adjust not being able to play basketball for a while?
It was very tough for me at first. Then I believe everything's meant for a reason. So I just bounced back this year, try to come back and do the same thing I did last year.
Let's talk a little bit about last year. Last year you showed a lot of promise early in the season for the Cowboys. Then you had an injury that knocked you out.
A lot of therapy,
you know, not being able to
2 times a day, summertime.
Very tough for me.
So we were doing a lot of therapy. That's pretty much it, a lot of rehab.
Okay. When you went down, did you know it was serious? When you actually first had the injury sustained?
Yeah, I thought it was
broken. Did you have to go through, Craig, a rehab period with
like
the
more than it was?
Exactly what was the nature of it?
So it ended up being a blessing that it was just dislocated instead of broken.
2 times a day.
Is it the kind of thing, you know, you hear about people that dislocate their shoulders and they get up and pop it back into place?
Okay.
Right
when you went down, did you know it was serious?
Is that a reality?
Well, Coach Simmons, he was telling me that when I had dislocated my shoulder in halftime, like they used to do that all the time, just pop it back in place and play. But I don't think that's pretty true.
Is it the kind of thing, you know, you hear about people that dislocate their shoulders and they get up?
Okay.
Pop it
in
back
the movies,
into
they always do it. They hit
right
the board or something like that. And boom, I
think it's just on the film.
I think you're right. How's it holding up this year? How's everything working for you this year?
Everything's pretty good.
You got to be taking a beat when you're in there playing at post position.
Yes, sir.
6'7" is not an awful.
I don't think that's
awfully.
You had a differing opinion from what Coach Simmons said, huh?
The biggest player you played
in the movies,
against,
they always do it. They hit the board or something like that, and boom, it goes back in place.
How does 6'7" play against 6'2"?
How's it holding up this year?
I think you just got to be a man and step up and just.
You got to be taking a beating when you're in there playing at post position.
Yes, sir.
6'7" is not an awful.
Yes, sir.
Do you find that the officials let you get away with a lot of that, or does
big
it
height
depend on where you play?
Yeah, it depends.
The biggest player you played against.
Sometimes the officials they let us bang, and then some days they don't.
How does 6'7" play against 6'10"?
Just got to go on when the lights are on and the officials are calling. Just base it off that.
What makes you
happy? A lot of muscle, a lot of body, and a lot of pushing and shoving, that sort of thing.
Pretty much.
Do you find that the officials let you get away with a lot of that, or does it depend on where you play? If you've got double-digit
scoring or double-digit rebounding, or get a double-double, that's got to get through.
Double-double would be great.
Yes,
sir.
That's a goal for you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, we've had an interesting year, to say the very least.
What makes you happiest, when you score
or when you rebound? You've seen some success.
Rebound?
Last year, the team had great success. This year, it's been a little bit more of a struggle.
What are you most proud of?
How you doing?
Got double-digit scoring or double-digit
rebounding? It's pretty hard, but I believe that we can pick it up. We got to just face through adversity and just pick it up in the season. I think we're going to come along.
An interesting year, to say the very least, for the Cowboys. You've seen some success. Last year, the team had great success. This year, it's been a little bit more of a struggle for the Cowboys. How you doing mentally with all of that?
It's pretty hard, but I believe that we can pick it up. You know, we got to face through adversity and just pick it up. I think we're going to come along.
Okay.
You know,
welcome back into more of Inside Cowboys.
Okay, well, good luck to you and the Cowboys, and thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Coach, you had two ball
we'll take
games.
a pause and be right back with more Inside Cowboy basketball right
on the road. And one was spectacularly pleasing, and the other may have been spectacularly disappointing. Let's talk about the one that was the good news, and that
welcome
was
back into more of Inside Cowboy
Cowboys
basketball with head coach Dave Simmons. I'm your host, Ron Hayes. Coach, you had two ball games
very,
that we're going to feature on this week's show, both on the road.
A young team.
And one was spectacularly pleasing, and the other may have been spectacularly
we had a lot of adversity in that game, ups and downs.
Let's talk about the one that was
the
good news, and that was
10-point margin.
Your Cowboys go up to Huntsville, Texas, here. Pull out a barn burner right at the very end.
Kept fighting, and put ourselves in a position to win the basketball game. And that's the whole key. As long as you play hard on the road, it's tough enough just being on the road. But when you put yourself in a position, that's what coaches want. Put yourself in a position to win a basketball game. And we made some plays down the stretch that we hadn't made in the previous games, and was the end result. We got us a victory. You know, I won't say this a landmark victory because it was McNeese's 300th victory for conference. We've won more conference games than any other school that's been in the Southern Conference but along with a lot of coaches previously to me have also contributed to that. But we're just very fortunate that we broke that milestone, the 300 mark. for McNeese State.
Isn't it the 50th anniversary of the Southland Conference?
Congratulations on
So
that.
it celebrates the 300th win and the 50th year. Pretty cool, Coach.
That's pretty
Congratulations
good.
to you and the Cowboys and all coaches prior to you.
Exactly.
Cowboy basketball players and basketball family, in fact. Let's talk a bit about senior leadership in that win over Sam Houston. You know, this has been the question all year about the
Isn't it the 50th anniversary of the Southland Conference?
Who's going to be the leader?
So it celebrates the 300th win and the 50th year. Pretty cool, Coach. Congratulations to you and the Cowboys and all coaches prior to you and the Cowboy basketball players
came off a 22-point effort against
Let's talk a bit about senior leadership in that win over Sam Houston. You know, this has been the question
he had made some
all year about the leadership. Who's going to take over the role? Who's going to be the leader? Who's going to be the go-to guy
to win it.
when the game is in the balance?
We put it in his hands, senior leadership, and the guy has a lot of confidence in himself, and of course the coaches also. So we said, here, Dante, it's in your hand. He just made some great plays down the stretch.
Which was the better shot, Coach, into regulation or into overtime?
Well, let me say this. We got into regulation, but the overtime was sweet because I know the door was over with then. So I tell you what, we were very excited. And it was a huge game for us because we had been struggling. We needed a win to keep a pace of
What was the better shot, Coach? In regulation or in overtime?
In
Did y'all know about that by the time y'all hit the floor? Y'all didn't
no, but afterwards we knew that made that victory much more important for us, and everyone is important. But because we just stay in the pace of ahead of Lamar, who we're battling right now, we're both battling for that 8th spot, and we'd like to get some more wins before we can move up from that spot where you're not worried about.
Did y'all know about that by the time y'all hit the floor? Y'all didn't know about
it against a tough team. I mean, we kind of shook up the conference standings in that 4 through 8 spot, so that was a huge win for us.
All right, Coach, let's transition now. You went from Huntsville, Texas, down to Corpus Christi. You played Texas A&M Corpus, a team that's not having a good year at all, a team that really is not even in the competition for the postseason tournament because they're not able to do that for various reasons. But the thought in your mind prior to that ball game had to be, okay.
All right, Coach, let's transition now. You went from Huntsville, Texas, down to Corpus Christi. You played Texas A&M Corpus.
We should handle.
A team that's not having a good year at all. A team that really is not even in the competition for the postseason tournament because they're not able to do that.
Kids, anybody can beat anybody, any given opportunity in this
thought in your mind
league.
Prior to that ball game had to be, okay, we got through the tough one 2 nights ago. Now we're going to have one that we should handle.
The score here was 75.
We should handle.
Against Corpus, and they had played a lot of people close. The game before the game they lost on that Thursday night against Lamar, they led the entire game until the last 2 minutes. So, and their coaches, I've watched their scores. They've been ahead of a lot of games that they just kind of lost in the last few minutes of the basketball game. So, knowing they were dangerous, it was their homecoming. You know, we didn't have Austin Lewis available, you know, to give some guys some extra. You know, we didn't have that shot blocking ability that we've had with his presence in the game. And that was a big thing going into it, but and we played overtime, so all those factors played a part. So we had to juggle some positions there, juggle some minutes played, and some guys responded. But it was a tough game that we got behind early, but we made a rally at the end, and we just come up short.
It's the kind of deal, Coach, where you were fabulously happy on Thursday night and probably fabulously disappointed on Saturday night when you could have really distanced yourself from Lamar's threat. Now you've got a 2-game cushion over Lamar going into, curiously enough,
Lamar, you're right.
And we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show.
Okay.
All right, Coach. Thank you very much, fans. Stay with us. We'll be back with Coach Simmons.
It's the kind of deal, Coach, where you were fabulously happy on Thursday night and probably fabulously disappointed on Saturday night when you could have really distanced yourself from Lamar's threat. Now you've got a 2-game cushion over Lamar going into, curiously enough.
Welcome back to Inside Cowboy Basketball.
And we'll
Coach,
talk about that a little bit later on in the show.
You and I are seated
Thank you
back
very much,
here in
fans. Stay with us.
Coliseum
We'll be back with Coach Simmons right after.
Home floor, and it's a pretty nice feeling, although it won't be to our advantage this week because we're going to go to Beaumont and play the Lamar Cardinals Saturday.
Well, but it's just a feeling of being back in your home vicinity.
Welcome back to Inside Cowboy Basketball. And Coach, as the fans can see, you and I are seated back here in Burton Coliseum on the McNeese home floor, and it's a pretty nice feeling, although it won't be to our advantage this week because we're going to go to Beaumont and play the Lamar Cardinals Saturday.
Especially when you've been away from here since January the 19th. So we're happy to be back, and you know, throughout the year we'll be on this home court.
Coach, they left Sugar Booger, that big nasty bull back there in case you wanted one last ride, so make that decision yourself.
Well, that's going to be our motivation. Look, if we don't win some more games, Sugar Booger's going to be, they're going to be riding Sugar Booger. I'm going to put him in the pen with him.
All right, Lamar Cardinals. You and Lamar, McNeese and Lamar have constantly
Coach, they left Sugar Booger, that big nasty bull back there in case you wanted one last ride. So
although it may not be for the championship at the top, it's for qualifying for the tournament. One way or the other, it's going to be a big game.
Well, it just basically is a tournament game for us. I mean, you know, we both were battling for that spot of seeding to get into the tournament.
McNeese and Lamar have constantly been at each other's throats over the years, and this year it seems as though, although it may not be for the championship at the top,
to get in where we are right now.
For the tournament.
It's going to be a big ball game.
One way or the other, it's going to be a big game.
We won here. Very fortunate to beat them here, and beat them. I think we beat them by 24 here in Lake Charles. And if I'm knowing Coach Knight and that team there, they weren't very happy when they left, so they're going to be looking to even that thing up. So we've got to be put on a different attitude, as far as with young kids. Sometimes because you beat one team one time, they think it's going to be easy the next time, but it's not the case in college basketball. So everyone prepared. We've got battling a few injuries. I'm sure they've improved. I've been keeping up with them as a team. A young team that's really made a lot of progress, and so it's going to be a big basketball game for both of us.
Coach, they were having a long year and a losing year. They were looking for their first win in the conference here a couple of games ago, and now all of a sudden they're on a little streak, it seems, as though Lamar's kind of put it back together.
You're right, and that's the thing about teams. You never know. You never know in this conference. They were able to go and get something done that we didn't do. They beat Corpus.
Coach, they were having a long year and
we went down, followed behind them,
looking for their first win in the conference here a couple of games ago, and now all of a sudden they're on a little streak. It seems as though Lamar's kind of put it back together.
You never underestimate your opponents in this league, and you always respect them. And sometimes kids, don't have that same, I guess, that same mentality as the coaches have, and you try to relay that to a team. You got to be ready to play every game, every possession.
Kind of a sense of urgency is now beginning to fall upon the Cowboys.
You're correct. I mean, no doubt. I mean, we need to win some basketball games. We need to win more than what we have our fair share, but because not only that, we need to improve our record. We need to improve our standing in the conference. There's a lot of things this team needs to do in order for us to make that conference race.
Kind of a sense of urgency is now beginning to fall upon the Cowboys.
Next week. Meantime, we'll take a pause and be back with more of Inside Cowboy Basketball with Coach Dave Simmons right after our fair share. But not only that, we need to improve our record.
There's a lot of things this team needs to do in order for us to make that conference race.
Okay. All right, fans, you heard about it.
Welcome
we'll
back
about the Lamar game next week.
Segment
Meantime, we'll take a pause and be back with more of Inside Cowboy Basketball.
Cowboys have a little different deal this year. It was something that started last year by ESPN, but after the Lamar game Saturday, you got your bracket buster coming up. I want to tell the fans a little bit about what that entails.
Well, we'll have an opportunity to play a team that we played previously last year. We played in the
Welcome
CIT
back into the concluding segment of today's show with head coach Dave Simmons. And Coach, the Cowboys have a little different deal this year. It was something that started last year by ESPN.
So
after the Lamar game Saturday, you got your bracket buster coming up. I want to tell the fans a little bit about what that
February 23rd. And it's a one game, and it's I guess the philosophy behind it was just to match up teams who normally do not schedule each other during the course of the year for different conferences. So it'll be other teams in our league play all across the country.
So everybody's going to be playing
a bracket buster game, and that's in the conference. And that's the thing, and it's a great opportunity, and it's a return game, so we get an opportunity the next following season for Toledo to come down here and play us in Lake Charles. So it makes a little different for travel, because normally we wouldn't schedule.
So everybody's going to be playing
and they wouldn't schedule
bracket
buster.
It brings everybody in the conference.
A different and that's the thing. Look, and it's a great opportunity.
Check the weather.
It's a Toledo, Ohio game, so we get an opportunity. Well, I know this. We've always ordered our equipment. We have cold weather gear for cold weather. But of course, now we're still, and I look at the days today. It's 75 degrees outside. I'm sure the temperature's a lot cooler there, so we'll be prepared.
Toledo, Ohio,
it'll be a different thing. I know that's one thing about college basketball. You get a chance to see. That's why a lot of kids from the north come down here in the south.
Cold weather gear.
It's always a good thing for us to play, and they play a different style. They're a little bit more rugged type of style than what we normally do. Where I would say our leagues and a lot of teams in the south are more finesse basketball teams, but they play a inside paint game in which we have to make an adjustment to it, and normally they're bigger body kids than what we see here in our league.
And
they play a different style. You have to stumble me on that question. Mid-American, you're correct. Correct, Mid-American.
I bailed you out on that.
You bailed me out. I knew the conference, but we still have a little work to do before that game. We have a Tuesday game against Southeastern Louisiana here as a Southern Conference game. So that game it still gives us about 4 or 5 days to prepare for.
Not Mid-American, I don't think.
Mid-American.
That'll do it for today's edition of Inside Cowboy Basketball. Back again with you next week. We talk about the Lamar game and hopefully a victory tonight.
Tuesday game against
Thanks a bunch to tune in
here as a Southern Conference game. So that game it still gives us about 4 or 5 days to prepare for.
Okay. All right, fans. Well, that'll do it for today's edition of Inside Cowboy Basketball with head coach Dave Simmons. We'll be back again with you next week when we talk about the Lamar game and hopefully a victory for the Magnificent Cowboys. Thanks a bunch and tune in with us again.